Here we are. Leland Whaley in the house.
What's happening, my friend?
Kind of a big deal.
I'm on Andrew's TV show.
I'm a little nervous.
Yeah.
This is our
Why
first.
would you be nervous?
Well, it's our first big time interview. I think it's not nervous bringing you here. It's just the fact that everybody else around me's hyped it up.
Yeah.
Listeners, and I thought, oh my God, you're bringing Leland on your podcast. So I'm like, I'm a little freaked out.
Hey, look, I brought you Dixon. You know, being gay and all,
Right.
brought you lemon shots. I brought you some man liquor. Let me tell you what this is. I got this from Alan at Allen and Company. He gave AJ and I a gift box a couple Christmases ago. And I've just never opened it. I thought, what a good occasion. We'll break in Andrew's show.
So
do you drink bourbon?
Yeah, I'm familiar with Maker's Mark. Is that a special?
Well, this was some select batch that was numbered and marked from a particular barrel, and he gave us like a little set of 3. It's been sitting in my kitchen since, I guess it was last Christmas. We did a live show at Allen and Company. So I said, you know what? We're going to pop that open tonight. Now,
good idea.
How do you drink? Do you drink liquor straight?
Oh, yeah.
You are
absolutely.
Tonight. You do?
I actually, ever since I started trying to get on this health kick, I actually cut out the whiskey. I drink it on special occasions.
Tonight, it's over.
So tonight's a special occasion, so I'm not worried about
tomorrow.
it. Yeah, Mandu tomorrow.
So here's what we're doing. I got my Alabama Veteran rock glasses they gave me. Our charity that we help out a lot with the station.
Wow, I like that.
And we'll sip on a little brown water and have a conversation if you don't mind.
This is a little better. I can handle this, but when Dixon comes up here with Jello shots, I'm like, I wasn't ready for that.
Could have been Bud Light. So.
And then I only went 2 Jello shots, and he gave me the business. I'm like, I'm not trying to. I don't know what's in these Jello shots.
Yeah,
I know what's in that.
We don't usually. Richard and I don't ever drink on the air except election night.
Right.
And then we encourage our callers to be drunk and to call in.
That's good radio.
That's the best radio we've ever done.
It's very good radio.
One of the most long-lasting promos we ever ran was some drunk guy called up during election night. He goes, "You ever heard this one?" He goes, "This is the United States of America." And Dixon goes, "American." I said, "American." He goes, "Yeah." And we just ran that as a promo for probably 5 years.
Oh, that's good.
That was from election night.
That's good stuff. I've yet to experience an election night deal at 99.5, I guess, right? I mean, I got there in 2021.
No, we haven't tag teamed
like a big election.
Nights. Yeah. Well, we got one coming up. Yeah.
I've only experienced one at our old station, 2016, which, by the way, was a magical election. That was a lot of fun.
It was a big night that night.
But 2020, I was unemployed.
It was a big night. Yep.
That wasn't as much fun, 2020.
No.
Is that the one you're talking about?
No, 2020 sucked. I'm trying to forget all that, every bit of it.
It's bad. That's when I started growing my hair.
Yeah.
I said I'm not cutting my hair till I put the
orange
orange man back in.
At the station. We're the. Do you ever man bun it?
Occasionally. I usually just let it run wild. I'm kind of at this point where I'm thinking about cutting it, but it was such and I told this story to Dixon. It was such an awkward process to get it here, because when I started growing it, I was out of the business. I was doing rideshare, Uber and Lyft, and then I get the call from Valerie Vining about Murphy's leaving. Yeah. We're going to bring you on. I'm in the most awkward stage of hair growth.
Yeah, you were like a samurai and a soccer mom at the same time. God. It was kind of both.
It was awful. They took me in there to talk to James. Yeah. I go and meet Ryan Haney.
That's radio,
like,
man.
These guys are going to think I'm an idiot. Like, they're not going to hire me. So
AJ makes fun of me because when I first started, I was doing the show kind of part-time. This was 14 years ago. I was just doing it on the side because I was doing business stuff still.
Yeah.
And I had my business buzz cut, and I wore almost a suit to work every day. I wore dress slacks, and I was from that corporate world, And he wore sweatpants. So he and I met in the middle, and we both started. And then I realized these people can dress like bums, and then 2020 made it worse.
Yeah.
And now I come in with my Jerusalem Cruisers on, and you see how I look every day.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah. I like it.
I'm ready to throw some rocks in the streets in Palestine or something.
It's always a surprise. I never know what you're going to wear. Sometimes you're dressed up, but it just depends on what you're doing that day.
It depends on if I have a job interview that day or something.
That's true. You talk to a lot more important people than I do.
Sometimes.
I just keep to myself. By the way, if you look behind you, you recognize that picture.
That's intimidating.
This is the one from the studio. Remember, I put that picture of Donald Trump in the studio.
Did it go missing?
And it went missing after just a couple days. Somebody replaced it with a printed off picture of Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah.
And I had no idea where the picture was for almost 2 weeks. And so I just printed out another picture of that, cut Donald Trump's head off, and put it on Vivek. And it stayed like that for another week.
He probably looked like a pest dispenser because the
a little bit.
Vivek's like that big.
Yes, it was a little bit like that.
Yeah.
So I say something about it on air, and then all of a sudden the picture shows up in my office, and so I hang it back up in the studio. One day later, it's gone again. Never found out who kept taking it down, but I'm assuming that it was. I don't know if it was somebody that was butthurt about it or
just
what.
Just blame somebody. That's all you have to do.
I thought about it. At first, I thought it was a gag. I was like, they're just messing with me. But then they took it down a second time, and I'm like...
I'm calling Damian Mitchell. That's who I think.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it's Damian.
We figured we'd just put it in here. It's fine.
Might as well.
I don't need the drama.
That's fine.
What's it like having a producer, same producer for 15 years? I've always wondered.
That's people... AJ's not a producer to me. He started off... Our story's weird. I came off the elevator. We were it was the same building, but a different radio station in the building. And they wanted me to do a little afternoon show. And I was too busy with my day job. And I thought, I'd love to get back into radio. And so they just put him on the reception desk to answer phones. He was just up there trying to get a job. He was just in the building. Like he was doing part-time work. They had him doing runner stuff. He wasn't assigned to any show. There was something weird. The elevator opened, and this guy's just standing there grinning and smiling. And so I'm killing time waiting on Frank to come out and talk to me. So I just hit it off with him, and we just started laughing about the same things. And I just liked his whole persona. That I said this at his wedding. Sometimes you meet people and you like them the minute you meet them.
Right.
I can name 10, 15 people like that in my life. The minute I meet them, I just liked them. So after we agreed to do the show, Frank looked at me and said, "We're going to have to get you a producer. Do you have anybody in mind?" And AJ had told me he'd worked at all these stations, and he was up there just trying to find, work and trying to find a show. So he was just talking to me casually. I said, "How about the guy up front?" He goes, "AJ?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "The black guy?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, it's a white, it's sort of a conservative radio show. He said he's never done a show like that. I said, "Good." Because he and I'll figure it out together.
Right.
And 14 years later, we're still trying to figure it out. But and he's become my friend. He's my friend. And he's much more than that. We've seen each other through personal ups and downs and moving furniture and living life. I mean, he's seen my heart broken. I've seen his heart break. And somehow he stays. Every time we make a move, we stick together. We're Laverne and Shirley, baby. Batman and Robin.
Some of those moves weren't so easy. I mean.
No, yeah. We've been sued.
Yeah.
We've tried to start businesses together. He's just a good man, and that was it. I just wanted a genuine person. And, sometimes I guess we probably take each other for granted because he's over there busy doing his thing, and we've done it so long he can do my show in his sleep. You know how it is when you change producers. Yeah. It's like dancing with somebody. They're just a beat off, but he can just do it. He knows when I'm going to break before I know I'm going to break.
Right.
He just hits the button.
That's
big.
big.
Have to listen, yeah.
That's big. I had that over at the Cult, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I had that kind of relationship with my producer, and I think I'm at that point now with John Bird. John Bird, and we make fun of him with all his flaws and everything he's got going on.
Man.
He's scatterbrained. Yeah. But I wouldn't want to have anybody else. Like it's not just the producer aspect of it. It's like, I always describe it to people. John Bird is like a cartoon character almost. He's just like him on this podcast. I need to send you some clips from. We do this Roundtable Willie on Monday night. Oh, yeah. He's like a character. And Tony, by the way, Tony here. I didn't even introduce Tony.
I know Tony.
He's
Tony. What's up, bud?
Tony can attest to that because he's he knows Bird just as well as everybody now. Yeah. So. He's great, man.
You guys were very funny today. Y'all hit a seam, and I can't remember what it was, but y'all went straight up Beavis and Butthead. Y'all were parodying a clip you had just played, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but I was just like, those two have rhythm. You got a rhythm. You either get it or you don't.
Yeah, we got a sense of humor.
You can't fake it either. I mean, it has to be genuine.
We're very immature, and I think that's really
what I mean.
Highlights our strengths is just being. And my wife will give me heat sometimes on that. She's like, "So you've talked about poop for 3 days in a row. Mm-hmm. How long are you going to go with that?" And I'm like, "You know what? Just going with the flow, baby." Poop comes up
when they listen more than you do. Like they listen to everything you say.
You know what's funny is Trish.
You don't remember what you say.
Trish was a talk radio fanatic for a long time until she met me. Like, she was a super fan of your show. As a matter of fact,
what does that say about you?
That's what I'm saying.
Your show,
like, she just
or your relationship.
Now she likes the funny stuff that we do when we're talking about other stuff. But she's like, which I get it. Things are so crazy now, and it's hard on the average person to sit there and. I mean, you just take the past 2 weeks with everything in the Middle East. Like, it's crazy. Heavy for people. Yeah. And they're like, it's just too much.
And you got to know when to lighten up. And we're trying to do that a little bit because it's unnerving, and people are coming to you in that moment for something else. I mean, or to hear about it and to get it digested for them. But at some point, you're going to stress people out. I was talking to John Lanius. I was up there looking at the store the other day. I said, isn't it kind of crazy that 1 minute I'm saying, y'all need a bunker? And the next minute I'm saying, by the way, Lanius Furniture is.
You got to furnish that bunker, cuz.
You need end times furniture. You might as well be comfortable.
That's right.
So there's a balance.
Yeah.
You have to strike.
I was thinking while you were on your way up here about kind of the journey for you and I to be working together.
Yeah.
And I kind of want you to tell this story so I don't tell it wrong, but how you and I first got in contact.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, so when you want to take time off, generally you kind of, the way we've always done it is you're sort of responsible for finding somebody to do your show.
Right.
We don't like to run best ofs, pre-recorded stuff. You need the show to be in the moment and live. So you're always looking for people that are talented enough to cover it, but not better than you, so you have a job when you get back.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know how I found you. I was over near Anniston. I think I was going to see my mom. I go through there to go down to my mother's, to my hometown where I grew up. And I was flipping around just trying to find some talk radio, see what was going on in the news. And I found this. I was like, who is this kid with the attitude? And I listened to you till I ran out of signal.
Which was probably about a mile and a half.
Yeah, and I knew the station was there because I had worked in Anniston years ago.
Right.
And I was like, I kind of like him. So, and then I was trying to take a week. I just wanted to go to the beach, take my sons to the beach. I needed a week off. I think it was a week, wasn't it? And
it was, because what happened was when you heard me, it had to have been right before this all happened because I reached out to you.
Yeah.
My co-host, I was doing the morning show at that time, and my co-host, a guy about my age, he was not full-blown liberal, but he was leaning in that direction, and he was mind-blown by this fascination people had with Trump at the time. It was early on. I guess this is 2015 going into 2016.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't wrap his mind around why people love the guy. And I love the guy. I was like, this guy's great. And so he was getting incredibly frustrated, ultimately leading him to quit the show. And then I took over the morning show.
He quit over Trump?
Yes, exactly. So I reached out to you. I guess this was a few weeks before Christmas because I think that's when you had me fill in.
Yeah.
And I just asked you because I was a big fan of your show. I was like, hey, here's my situation. This is my co-host. This is how he feels. How do I explain to him people's fascination with Trump? And then you sent back a big, long explanation, which shocked me because I'm a nobody. Yeah. And Leland took the time to send me a message back. And I'm like, holy shit. And Leland's actually talking to me. And then you immediately follow that big, long explanation with, hey, do you got an air check? You want to fill in for me?
Yeah, because, part of that was a little desperation to find somebody. And I had a few people that would fill in from time to time. One of them, luckily, we're realigning with 1819 now.
Yes.
And Scott Beeson's over there. Scott used to fill in with me. And I've known Scott way back before the politics days. And so, and I also like cultivating new talent. It was like I had to beg Andrea Lindenberg to get into talk radio. She and I had worked together in TV for years.
She was so good at it.
She just had a personality. She was real and self-deprecating and a professional.
Yeah.
And I heard that in some of your stuff. And then, but what I remember is when I was trying to get you to come over, your boss over there wasn't so sure about it because she kind of felt like it was a competitive station. And I had to convince her, look, you're in Anniston. We're in Birmingham. It's a different market.
Yeah.
It'll promote if people hear them on this station, they're going to want to hear it over there.
Yeah, because
I bought that argument.
Yeah, when you asked me, I immediately said yes.
Yeah.
And then I stepped back and I was like, wait a minute.
Right.
I got to ask my boss if I can do that.
She was very nice.
And I knew she was a fan. She listened to your show every day. And I was like, well, if Leland reaches out to her, he'll win her over. And so that's what happened.
She agreed. And then, so normally I don't listen when somebody's filling in for me because I just need the mental space.
Right.
I'm always giving Andrew advice because, I mean, you know, you're still developing in this stuff, even though you're just phenomenal at it. But it's old man advice.
Yeah.
To you know, save your mind. I mean, protect your family, protect people you love from your job, and take your downtime. I mean, you mentally have to take that downtime, and that means turn the damn radio off and don't watch the news, and just be somebody else for a while. So I was trying to do that week. I had taken my teenage sons down to the beach, and but I could not help myself. I had to see how you sounded.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in a parts store in Gulf Shores. I like to go to tool stores.
Right.
There's a tool outlet.
Ace Hardware at the beach.
So I'm literally in there looking at these tools at this clearance center, and I'm listening to you in my earphones going, this kid is good. I'm going to have him back. And the feedback when I got back, I was also managing the station, so I got all the feedback.
Right.
And everybody just loved you, man. And then so you kept filling in for a period of time. I guess it was a couple more years, right?
It was just, yeah. Well, I honestly, from that, you left that station, I think, in March or May of 2016.
Yeah, it would have been 2016. That was a big time when we decided Cumulus decided they were going to put together sort of a super station, even though that's what I called the old station.
Right.
And so you know, Matt and I had worked together and been friends for years, and he just gave me a random phone call and said, "Could you be free?" Well, there were some legal repercussions to that.
Just a little bit.
We had to vet that. But eventually we determined, you know, I was free to leave and I wanted to be part of this new thing. And they offered me, you know, whatever day slot I wanted, and I wanted to stay in the afternoons. The first thing, though, the station sort of hit the panic button because I was heading out the door. And I offered usually when you leave in radio, you just have to leave.
Right.
A lot of folks, the listeners, don't understand this. If you're in a contract, they don't want talent that's aggrieved, that's on the way out, having a microphone to say what they want.
No, they already got your stuff packed when you find out you're gone.
And if you get fired, you're gone anyway. So, and I had to unfortunately fire a few people at that same place. So it's usually day of. But this time, I mean, they needed some time, and I offered 2 weeks, and they took a week of it. Well, during that week, they were scrambling around, and I remember one of the main guys there who I really appreciated. He came to me and goes, "What would you do if you were me?" And I was like, "I'd call Andrew."
Yeah.
I said, "This guy is as close to what I like to do. I think he's going to come along. He'll be great." And you made the best of it. Y'all had a good show.
I remember filling in, you talking about that first time I filled in the end of 2015. I still remember that show to this day because me and AJ, it was easy for me because I listened to the show so much, so I knew how to dance with AJ.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just goofed off for 4 hours. I think we talked about cougar sightings or something like that and took phone calls. It was like super easy to get phone calls on your show. You know, everybody's already dialing it in for 4 hours. So, four months, 5 months, and then I get a phone call. Mm-hmm. I actually know what happened was I'm listening to your show as I did every day, and you end the show on a Friday, and you're like, well, I hate to tell you all this, but this is our last show here at the station. Hopefully we'll see you somewhere in the future. And I'm like,
I couldn't say where I was going yet.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say. I was just as shocked as everybody else. The world was crumbling. And for me personally, I had aspirations of being up there. I didn't put two and two together to say, oh, Leland leaving's going to open the door for me. I saw it as Leland's leaving, and he's the one guy up there that likes me. So that's a done deal.
There goes your connection.
There goes my connection.
No, I immediately told him that'd be the smart thing to do.
And it was just a matter of maybe a week later, somebody reaches out to me and they say, hey, we want you to come up here and do. I think I did 2 shows before I even filled out an application. Like I could have been a convicted felon and they would have had me working.
They needed to get that fixed. And, you know, it's hard when you leave. And I rarely remembered that I was able, I had a few minutes to say to the audience that I was leaving. But again, in radio contracts, you can't promote where you're going because especially if you're going to a competitor or if you're taking a leave of absence because of a no compete, you just got to disappear. And that was a weird time when I disappeared because I couldn't, you know, because of litigation, I couldn't say a word. I couldn't.
You wasn't putting anything on social media?
Post anything. I went dark. I'd put teaser videos up every now and then that at some point we'd be back. And then I wasn't sure what AJ was going to do. It was his call. We don't move as a team. He's he's independent from me, so he makes his decision, and I respect that. But and recently, you Remember when I got abducted by aliens in Roswell?
I do. It actually concerned me because I had just cut the radio off, and then listeners started texting me asking if Leland's okay. I'm like, oh, shit, what happened?
You know, what people don't know is that might have been my last show on Talk 99.5.
Are you serious?
I was in contract negotiations, and I was considering leaving. I actually was leaving.
Yeah.
And so for a gag, we just decided I'll get abducted by aliens and show back up in 6 months or whatever.
That's got to give you some negotiating power.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Don't ask me about what happened. But,
we don't care. You're still here. That's all that matters.
I can't make a fart sound now, but it's aliens. What are you going to do?
It worked out.
No, it was just a fun gag, and truth is, we worked it all out, and I was glad to be able to stay because we got a good team there.
Yeah. This is when you left, or you did the whole last thing you said on the other station was you may see us, or something that led people to believe you're going somewhere, but we had no clue. There was no 99.5, not Talk 99.5.
Yeah.
That station you were at was the only get up in town, and so it was like, oh, what's he doing? Was he going back to TV? Which, by the way, do you miss being on TV?
No.
Just reminding you of that.
I talked to Lindenberg about this sometimes. Some of my old colleagues. I think I was in it at the end of. I don't want to call it a golden age because local TV news was huge in the 70s and 60s, but there in the 90s, you had to pay your dues to get into Birmingham. They had serious editorial standards. You had to double source everything. If you won an award, it was a big deal. And it was appointment television. There wasn't an internet. There definitely wasn't social media.
Way before journalism died.
Oh, yeah. And some of that, it's interesting because we've got more information and more platforms like this available now. Mm-hmm. And some people do it well and some people don't. But mainstream old school dinosaur journalism is just, there is no journalism. It's just, we got some good folks working locally that still do a good job. For sure, and they're professionals still. They still carry those standards. But I think I was there at the end of that, and I sort of felt that coming, and it was time for me to move on too. And some others, I had other people in that same zone that just either went into other fields. A couple of them went to Fox News and they went network. We sort of busted up the band, but at that time at Fox 6, we so dominated the ratings. We beat every station in the market combined.
Yeah,
33-40 didn't exist. And I worked for some of the best professionals in the industry and learned a lot. And it's a cool job because you are witness to the most interesting thing that happens that day. You get to go see it. You get to go to the scene, to the fire, to the murder, to the hearing, to the trial, whatever's going on that day. So being young and being willing to work for nothing and bust it that hard, it was a good time of life. But I wouldn't do it again. The industry's changed.
It's just different, yeah.
I've just lost interest, and I don't want to cut my hair.
Right. You don't want to do that.
I wear makeup again.
I mean, let's be honest, this day and age, you probably wouldn't have to cut your hair. Yeah. You don't even have to be your current gender to be a reporter. What was the craziest?
Which is a reminder, I put this on the show tonight, and I feel like it's on my heart to tell people this. Prostate exams are very important.
Yeah.
So for all you men out there and Democrat women,
right,
make sure you get that done.
What's the age on that?
40.
Oh, God.
So you guys look out.
I'm 38.
What were we going to ask? Oh, yeah, it's called the Moon River.
Well, you know the issues that I'm dealing with, and you've kind of coached me through some of them in the sense of I've started having panic attacks over the past really just two or 3 months. Just started. Never had them in my life.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and I've talked about this and been transparent on the radio, weird feeling, weird pain, maybe in the chest. Could be just sore muscles from man do.
Yep.
But freaks me out. I went the night before the Jawbone Jam. Tony, was it the Jawbone Jam?
Yeah, it was the Jawbone Jam.
Night before the Jawbone Jam, I'm in the emergency room at midnight because I was having a panic attack, but I didn't know what that was. We were like, Trish drove me to the hospital. And I told her, I said, I don't think I'm going to make it. My heart is pounding. I'm sweating. I'm like, I'm dead. This is it. I'm dead. And I get there, my vitals are fine and everything else, and I've still been battling it since then. But I had a conversation with you, and this kind of just goes to having a prostate exam. Maybe I'm just getting to that age where I've got those weird, pains and aches or whatever, and it just completely freaks me out. You said you went through that too.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't from a prostate exam because if they can see your heart from that exam, they're too far.
That's true.
Too far.
Yeah.
But no,
whoa, doctor.
I think you and I sharing behind. We get a whole 5 minutes every day to talk in the changeover when you're leaving and I'm trying to get in here. Andrew and I have this little dance where his computer goes that way and mine goes this way.
Oh, we got it down to an
Dixon
art.
and I did that for years, and so we get a few minutes to talk, and you're still talking from your show, and I'm trying to get my brain on. It's a weird moment, but I heard you talking about that, and I sort of feel like your big brother sometimes, or maybe your dad.
Yeah.
That I should let you know that I went through a very similar thing a couple times in my life. And a lot of men won't talk about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, and I guess because I heard you being bold enough to talk about it, I'm very prideful and don't like talking a whole lot about too much deep personal stuff.
Right.
But it's real. For me, it was the same thing. I think the first time it happened was in, I can't remember the year. I want to say it was 2008. And it relates to thinking that it's subconscious, and even consciously you think, I'm good. You don't want to be weak, and it seems like something that a weak person would do, have a panic attack. You're not panicked. If terrorists came through the door right now, I'd know exactly what to do, and I'd probably take out 10
We're going
to
to grab our guns, let's go.
I'd be fine. But let a weird pain happen, and you think you're having a heart attack, and you think that's it. My father died of a heart attack at 47, so I was a little bit younger than that. But I remember the first time I ever had chest issues, and I think we're sharing this because there are other guys out there, particularly men, that need to man up and get checked, or if you're having those issues, do whatever you got to do to get past it, and you will get past it. And by the way, side note, Church of the Highlands pastor Chris Hodges actually did a sermon on this about a month ago. He had the same thing happened to him. I want to say he was in Australia. You can find all their sermons online if you go search around. I don't remember the week. But he actually wound up writing a book about dealing with the stress, and really it's internalized stress that can manifest subconsciously, and you got to know how to deal with it. There's probably really not you can take drugs to mask things and numb you out, but you got to deal with your lifestyle if you get like this. And I think I was pressuring myself a lot at that age. But I remember the first time it happened, I had gone with a buddy he had some tickets to the Black Crows at Oak Mountain. And he and I went, and they sucked because they were in the jam band phase, and we weren't really paying attention to the music. And I had a beer and a hot dog, probably paid $40 for it, and left early.
Yeah.
Went home, and somewhere that evening I woke up with this just pain in my chest, and I was sure I was having a heart attack. And I think subconsciously I always feared that I would because of my father. He was just in poor health. And so I go to the bathroom, and I'm just banging on the walls trying to get help. And eventually paramedics came to the house. My boys were asleep upstairs. And so they all came downstairs. They were all sitting on the couch. The paramedics checked me enough to think, well, we might as well take him in. Well, that scared me even more. And I remember they put me on a gurney in my bedroom and wheeled me through my own house to go out the front door. And I'm thinking, what if I never see this house again? What if I ever see those boys again?
It just makes it worse.
It's so dramatic. I'd never been through anything. I'd never been in an ambulance. And one of my boys, trying to break the ice, I guess, he goes, hey, did you get me a T-shirt? I was like, dumbass. But I go to the hospital, and they ran me through all tests, and they ran me on the treadmill, and I did every test you could do, and there was nothing wrong with my heart.
Man.
But you cannot convince me that there wasn't something wrong they were missing.
Right.
I was like, it's something wrong, and you don't know it. And so every time I felt the pain in my chest after that, it would just creep up. It's like a dark shadow
out of nowhere.
Creeps up on you, and consciously you're going, I'm fine. But you tingle and you sweat and you feel unnerved. And so it took me a while to get through it. And what I told you, and what I think eventually will help, is at some point I realized, man, if there was really something, I'm going to be dead by now. I've had 10 of these. So it comes and goes. Years later, I had a blood clot in the middle of a show. It's a long story, and I don't want to drag you through that whole thing.
Lord.
That I didn't know about. But
now I'm having another panic attack.
Yeah, I mean, but for a while after that, if I felt weird, and nowadays you got this feedback, like this watch, it'll tell me my pulse, it'll read my EKG.
Yeah, I gotta get one of those.
But then again, it's a bad feedback cycle because you're constantly checking yourself, and you don't need to do that all the time. But I would encourage, and I think it's men, we're more stubborn. Women are just smarter than us. but deal with it. I mean, it's a symptom of something else, and it's generally stress in your life.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's nothing. There's nothing. Your life's fine, but you just. I think it's when I had one recently, and I think it's when you're your happiest. You don't want anything to go wrong, and if you start feeling weird physiologically, you feel like, oh God, I don't want this to be happening now. Everything's great, and I think it makes it worse.
Maybe that's what it is, because we got a lot of good things going on right now. Station's doing well, ratings are through the roof. We've got this going on here,
fine.
So maybe that's part of it. It happened. The Jawbone Jam incident happened, and not long after that, I was on my way into work, and I called Val about halfway to the station. I'm like, "Yo, cuz I something ain't right." I turned around, went back to the fire station up here, and had them check me out. And, of course, here I am. I'm sitting in the lobby without a shirt on. They got the sticker things all over me, and they're like, your voice sounds familiar. I'm like, yeah, that's what I need right now. So everything was fine. It was like, we can take you to the hospital. Your vitals are fine now. I'm like, nah, I just left. Made it back in time for the show.
Yep.
But it's just weird, man. It just freaks me out. And I was already a guy that easily get stressed out, if somebody changes plans last minute or something's thrown on me, at the last second, I'll get stressed out. I get stressed out about stupid situations. I got to figure that out. I would go to a therapist, but I feel like therapists are in the business of keeping you, messed up, so you keep paying them. But I don't know, man. It's just I'm just messed up. I'm a basket case, Leland.
For some people, it's going to be a therapist. For some people, it might be your pastor. For some people, it might be your spouse. For some people, guys have a different way of processing everything. So,
you ever microdosed mushrooms?
Not today.
I've thought about it.
Not ever, actually.
I've never tried it, but I thought about it. I see people talking about it.
Try Skittles. I'm not kidding. I read an article about that.
No, yeah, you told me. And you know what? As a matter of fact,
about the sour. I read an article that the sour interrupts something about your brain cycle that also handles your salivary glands.
Because
and they say that people.
You told me that. I bought sour gum. Yes.
Did it work?
Kinda. I think it did.
Keep them in your bag. Whatever it takes, man.
This was because of you.
What it is, I think personally, I'm no doctor about it, but it's a feedback loop that you just have to break.
Yeah.
And because for me, it was like I felt weird, and then I checked my watch, and my heart rate was up, which made me more paranoid that something was wrong. And then I'd think about it too much and quit thinking about it too much and drink some water. And sometimes, it's just, you got to call somebody.
Yeah.
The other day I called her, and I was like, just talk to me. And but you can deal with it. And you know what? Sometimes I never thought of this, but with the subject matter that we deal with every day, when you take it as seriously as we do, and we do, we're not just talking on the radio. You worry about the stuff you're talking about.
You do,
And I think you internalize it because it's not just the 2 or 3 hours or 3 or 4 hours you're on the air. In our case, it's all the reading you do to consume and prepare and process and think through on the way to the show every day. It's down in there somewhere.
Yeah. And
you can't, even though consciously you may be fine, but subconsciously you may just have to deal with it. And it's okay to deal with it. It doesn't mean you're crazy. You're not crazy. You're just dealing with stuff.
Yeah, it was just bizarre to me because, like I said, life's good right now. Station's going good. I love my wife. In a great marriage, kids doing good. P. Diddy's in 8th grade. He's on the basketball team, and it's he's loving life. He's got his little girlfriend, and I'm just like, man, what are you so stressed out about, dude? You're in the best position of life that you've been in your entire life.
It's not rational.
No.
And so what you're doing is you're rationalizing, which I do.
Yeah.
But it's subconsciously very irrational. You'll come to terms with it. You'll be fine. And I told you that the last time. You'll be fine. Because my first episode was 2008. The next time I dealt with it was 20 during the pandemic when all that blood clot thing happened.
Yeah.
And it just goes away. At some point it goes away because you realize you're fine. You're going to be fine.
Well, if I die, just put I told you so on my tombstone.
If you die, I'm going to put hey now on your tombstone.
Hey now, and I told you so.
P. Diddy's going to do your show because this kid's got all kind of personality.
He's good, man.
He's funny. I like him.
He's in this weird stage, and it's been hard for me as a dad from him transforming from the first 12 years of his life and wanting to hang out with his dad all the time to now he's like wanting to go hang out with his girlfriend or his friends or whatever. And I'm like, what, am I chopped liver? Like, we were BFFs, you know, especially when you go through a divorce and you've got a young kid, you kind of cling to that kid and, you know, you spend a lot of time with him. And so we had been through all that, and it's just like he's making this distance, and I'm like, bruh, like, I've been with you this whole time. Where you going?
Before hose, man.
Even watching, and you know how hard it is to be a Tennessee fan over the past few days, but just in general, like, we have been through some of the lowest lows together in Tennessee football, and we watch every single game together. Yeah. Now this season, he's watched all but 1 or 2 games with me, but I've kind of been like, you know, wait, why are we breaking the cycle? Why are you not watching these 1 or 2 games with me? You know, it's kind of freaking me out. I'm like,
think he's causing the team to lose?
No, it's just, I don't know. It was our thing, you know, and then it's just, I don't know.
Hey, here's some more old man advice. They come back home.
I know.
You're his compass. You've been a good dad to him. Going through those hard things are redeeming. I watched mine go away and get too cool for me. I went from Superman to an idiot, and then I became all right. And now I'm kind of Superman again.
Yeah.
When one of them is stressing out themselves, they call the old man, and we have a talk. It may be on the phone, and they're scattered to the wind, and one day P. Diddy will go off onto his own, but he'll love his dad. You've been a good dad to him. Don't worry about it.
Well, I mean, he texts me every day, and sometimes it's like, hey, Dad, can you cash up me $10 for Jax?
Oh, he needs some money?
Yeah, I need some money. But, yeah, you know, you just want to – I don't want to be a helicopter umbrella parent or whatever.
You're doing it right.
But at the same time, you're like, if they get too far away, they're going to come back as, you know, trans or two-spirited, you know.
You don't need that. No, you don't need that.
Don't want to do that. So, I don't know, man. I didn't mean to get on here and talk about all my problems. This is about you, not me. But I do have a lot of problems.
Andrew, we're friends. It's all right.
I
feel like Dr. Phil right now. Well, how's that working out for you?
Like you said, we get to, you know, we text back and forth, but we only get to talk in person like for 5 minutes each day. And, you know, sometimes it's not every day. So
that's fine. I think these conversations are not something that we would have had on the air for a long time. And whoever's watching this right now, maybe it'll get the next guy to go. You owe it to people that you love and care about in your family and your and everybody around you to not melt down over these things. And I think sometimes it helps to hear other guys talk about it.
Well, that's true.
It's fine.
Because, I mean, I'm the same way. I don't want to – well, I'm transparent to a fault on the radio, but at the same time, I am like other guys in the sense of being hesitant to go to the doctor, which I'm finally letting that go. Yep. But I don't know, man. You've had a storied career. Enough about me and my problems. I want to talk about Leland the musician and all the stuff that
there's no musician.
Have you not played with like 30 different bands?
No, I just I'm not talented enough or have time to grind it out like a lot of my friends that do it professionally or even play these troubadours that play around town. But I love it, even if I'm just playing for myself. Well, it's something I grew up wanting to do, and I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by some talent that makes me look better. So when I get a chance, if I can grab my gear and go hang out and play a song or two, I'll do it. Or sometimes we do the job on jam. But, you know, I'm not one of those that can go play all the time. But I enjoy it. I really do. It's not even being on stage. There's something about if you're with all these guys and you get locked in the pocket, we call it.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. And everybody's in the same place and you just kind of look at each other. There's a euphoria there that's hard to describe.
Yeah.
And it's anytime I get a chance to do it, I'm blessed.
I get that. I feel like
you're about to play a clip. You're setting me up.
Yeah. Well, kind of.
I can tell it.
So I do need to tell this one story. And is it the Steelwoods? Is that the name of this band? You told this story on the air the other day.
This is a great story. Yeah.
So I'm at the other station, the station that Leland.
I think it was the
suggested
Steelwoods,
me go.
Yeah.
And you're over at 99.5. This is probably circa 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got a band called the Steelwoods coming up to 99.5. They're going to play live on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think what happened was you accidentally sent them the address to the station you were no longer at, just probably lapse in memory. And they show up at our doorstep. They show up in our lobby. And somebody from the front comes out there during the break, and they're like, hey, there's a band here to be on your show. Yeah. And I'm like, what? I was like, just tell them to come in here. And so they came in, and they're like, yeah, we're supposed to be on the Leland. I'm like, come on in. And we had them sit down and play.
They played on your show, and then
played on
realized
my
they
show.
were on the wrong show.
And then we sent them.
Came across town and played on my show.
Yeah. Oh,
If it
man.
wasn't the Steel Woods, it was a band out of Rome, Georgia. But I had a lot more live music on the show back in those days.
Right. I think that's the only live music we ever had.
I love it.
They were good.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah.
You played with a band called Greenleaf Hustle at the Nick, and I found this on YouTube.
Oh, did you?
And you're actually, you seem like, from what I saw, it's like you're the lead singer in this band. Is that true?
Well, no. We had played together. They did the job on Jam with me.
Okay.
Every year I get professional guys to play around me and make me look good. Last year we called the band Turd Ferguson, but it was some of the same guys. And
what's funny is Turd Ferguson, the way you guys came out there, it was almost like a Tool concert because they'll wear these big obnoxious outfits. Y'all had these big cowboy hats and mustaches. I liked it. It was good.
Everybody thought we were doing country, but we wound up doing like 90s alt rock.
Yeah.
Just to throw people off.
So great.
But these guys, there are several musicians that play around town in different configurations. They got a band called Cashback that's amazing. This is a Johnny Cash tribute. They got Greenleaf Hustle, which is kind of one of their main acts. Gary Edmonds plays with everybody. Some friends of mine all over town. They're just excellent musicians. And so I reached out to them and said, let's put a band together to play Job on Jam. So rather than us make a fake band, they just said, we'll do Greenleaf and let you sing with us and just do what you want to do. So I learned their stuff and they learned my stuff and they did a set with me. And then they were nice enough to invite me to go play the Nick one night. And so we went out there and blew the Nick out.
Was it hard to learn their music or did you already know it?
No, what I did was try to make myself useful. So if there was a part in the song that they needed, like a keyboard or something else, I would learn that part and just fill in. Like I didn't want to take over somebody's role.
You didn't ask them like, "Hey, cuz, give me a guitar solo."
No, it's like being a guest host. So so they let me jump up at the Nick and knock.
You don't mean like a guest host, like somebody that's worse.
It's
than
like
you,
being a guest host. Yeah, it's like you don't want to step on. You're in their house, man,
right?
But you're just glad to be with there.
Yeah.
And I realized my lack of talent. So.
Well,
but I
tell you what. Let's be the judge of your lack of talent. And Tony, if you would, play me some Greenleaf Hustle.
Oh gosh,
this is at the Nick, 2019, if I'm not mistaken.
Has it been that long? Yeah, that was a good night.
Headphones.
Yeah, just grab your headphones.
Let me take a listen.
We want you to be able to hear Leland's pipes. Look at that hair.
That's before it got crazy.
I love the Nick, by the way. Sing it, baby.
Oh God, yeah, that's a Ryan Bingham song.
Okay.
I'll play and slide on there.
Oh, people would love this at Jawbone.
Yeah, these guys are so good. Yeah, that was a fun night. I just grabbed one of my guitars. That was my slide. So since I had that slide rig, we decided to do that song. It was a lot of fun.
You should put an album together.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean,
no, I really do suck. You have no idea.
No, it's good. I like it.
I'm into the other instrument. I'm really working on mandolin right now, trying to learn something different.
Yeah,
bro. I like the roots music. I'm all into the stuff that grew, the Appalachian folk music around me growing up. I now have a deep appreciation for, so I'm trying to learn that stuff.
You've got people are kind of, the audience is split on my taste in music. I like a wide variety, but it's just because of the generation I grew up in. 90s alternative, which you like too. Heavy metal, more on the newer end. I like hip hop, 90s hip hop, which, and honestly, when you go back and listen to it, it's really not that good, with the exception of the main players like Biggie and Tupac and all that stuff.
That's when I left hip hop. I can't understand the mumble rap they do now. I don't understand that stuff. But I still go back and spit out some Dre every now and then, or some Snoop Dogg or something.
But this this style of music that you listen to, that's kind of this bluesy, southern rock type of vibe, like that stuff never gets old. Like, it's really good.
It's timeless. Yeah, it's timeless.
I don't play it on my show, but it's like, I like it. I really do.
There's a friend of mine. He's my best friend growing up, Barry Waldrop, and he played with me at a couple of Jawbones too. He's a professional. He played with Zach Brown and Vince Gill.
Oh, wow.
And all these people. But he started a music venue. It's an old church that was abandoned. It was for sale, and he created a music venue over in Wedowee, Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Near the lake.
Yeah.
And it's called a listening room, where you're not there to drink and pick up a girl and act stupid. You're there to listen to the artists, and he gets these amazing artists over there. And I'm going to see a show. They've got a sort of a bluegrass, not really bluegrass, but they use bluegrass instruments, and they're covering the Allman Brothers, and it's phenomenal.
Wow.
Jimmy Hall with Willie sings with them a lot. So we're going over there to check out that show in a couple of weeks. If you want something different and willing to take a road trip, I'll give him a plug. 48 West is the name of it. And they do just these tight little intimate shows. I think they only host like 150 people. But he is my brother, and I just love that he though he's played arenas and shows all over the country, would just as soon be in that room with 100 people paying attention as do any of that stuff. Now and so would a lot of artists.
You say you don't go there to drink and pick up women.
No.
Are you allowed to drink?
No, I think it's Randolph.
I mean, that's my big concern, obviously.
Hey, what you do in the parking lot is your business.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't think they have any kind of, when you add alcohol service, and I think the town may still be dry. But it's not about that. It's about these musicians wanting to be. The rudest thing you can do is just ignore when they're pouring their heart out.
Getting on your phone, taking selfies.
It's kind of like me when I'm in a monologue on the show and AJ's texting somebody.
Dude, John Bird's king of that.
Well, pay attention.
He's not texting.
Person in the room.
Bird's just kind of off in the distance. He's not even texting. God bless him.
Yeah, man.
So AJ came in the studio earlier. John Bird was talking to me. But if somebody, like if John Bird's got his mic on and he's talking to me and somebody comes in, he'll forget to cut the mic off. Next thing you know, he's talking on air to the guy over on the side. And I'm like,
he's the least qualified person to do the board of anybody I've ever met. He's like a gnat on meth with ADD.
He's all over the place.
But he's the sweetest, most genuine person, and a genius at musical parodies and all this stuff and production. John's a total asset to us on our team. So.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. And y'all have a rhythm. I mean, he probably works better with you. Y'all's rhythm is better than anything I've ever seen.
I had, I think they stuck me with two different people before they gave me Bird.
No. And
I don't remember how that all played out, but I look back at the show. And I've gone back and listened to a couple of the first episodes of 99.5. Cringe, bro. It's so
just
cringe.
Don't do it. Yeah.
And once Bird joins and we start getting the hang of each other, it's exactly what the show needed. It gave the show character. It was just...
Keep working on it.
Oh, man. I have to... And I'm always nervous. Like, something's going to happen, and they're going to be like, well, we got to let somebody go. It's going to be John Bird. So I'm constantly going to management. I'm like, I just want y'all to know John Bird's a big asset to the line, Don't do anything with him. Don't take him away from me. You talking about parodies, though. Some of the parodies that you guys have done in the past have been phenomenal. You and AJ.
We just don't do it anymore. When I first started the show, I was like, I want to try to be funny, and they were kind of organic. It always came up from some subject on the show, and then I'd go home that night and drink too much brown water and just produce something in my basement. And so I wish I put more into that nowadays.
It's not easy.
No, and I think my show's grown away from just doing that kind of stuff, but I still enjoy it. The first parody I ever wrote was back in the 80s. Well, actually, we wrote a parody of Devil Went Down to Georgia. Me and Barry, the guy I was just talking about.
Yeah.
This guy from Acme, he owned Fruit of the Loom, and he was trying to take over a cotton mill in our hometown. That was really what the town was built around. So we wrote, his name was Bill Farley, and we wrote a song called Bill Farley Went Down to Georgia, because the cotton mill was in Georgia,
right?
And that song got play on stations in New York, and
really,
we got quoted, because it was this little town versus this big corporate takeover. It was a hostile takeover back in those days, and we didn't even know what we were doing. We were just a bunch of dumbasses, trying to do a parody in our living room, and that just lit my fire, and I wanted to do. We wrote a song about a guy working in a grocery store to Bon Jovi's Dead or Alive. And it was about instead of a cowboy, it was a bag boy.
You did one that was called, that was a cover of, or a parody of Kanye's Gold Digger. And it was called Obama's a Hole Digger.
Hole Digger, yeah.
Now tell me, I remember it, but what was the backstory?
He was just spending money like now. I mean, it was the same problems.
Just digging the country in a hole.
We did another one called Double Debt Bus because he was running around in this big black bus around the country trying to sell his economic plan. And I just heard that when it came up on my iPod the other day because these things get saved on my computer.
Right.
And we did double, and I was trying to imitate the Double Debt Bus, and it was so stupid. But yeah, we did Kanye, and I'd write AJ's part and get him to do it, and I'd usually do the editing and put it together. But yeah, we did Hole Digger. We did Kanye's.
Hey,
well,
Tommy,
it was
can
Gold
you find us
Digger,
Hole
but we
Digger?
did Hole Digger.
I can do that. 1 second.
Obama's a Hole Digger. I like.
Spending all the money till we broke.
There's probably a lot of people that listen to your show or listen to the station that have no idea that you mimicked Kanye West at one time.
Yeah, they had no. There's a bunch of old white people. They don't know. What
yeah, play
They
that for us, Tony. This is good. I actually found this earlier, and it's precious.
Oh gosh. This has been 10 years ago at least. I mean, it's been out.
Well, I'm in need.
So what you got?
Yeah, he's traveling.
Oh yeah.
Friend indeed.
AJ did the Jamie Foxx part.
Oh, he's a hole digger. Running out of time. He's texting me. He took my money.
Now I ain't saying he a hole digger, but he's spending all the money till we broke. Now I ain't saying he a hole digger,
that was a long time
but he's
ago.
spending all the money till we broke.
I remember this. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead, get down.
Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead, feel down.
Go
ahead,
feel
y'all.
down.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, feel down. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead. The economy bombed, everybody got alarmed. George Bush was gone, they called Obama the one. They said vote for Barack, he's got plenty of charm. He had a media flock to protect him from harm.
Oh, this
We
is
were looking
good.
for hope and change. Have you seen it? Obama read the teleprompter like he really mean it. Explain it, proclaim it, then would tame it. And when it didn't work, he brought up Bush so he could blame it. The stimulus plan for the 57 states went right down the can, just a whole lot of waste. More jobs went away, fewer people got paid. Ain't heard so many license Slick Willie got laid. Cause it's not enough money for the dead of the nation. Obama took Michelle on another vacation.
Oh, God, that's so
Get in
old.
front of Congress for a standing ovation. Republicans are fighting for the nomination. Now I ain't saying he a hole digger, but he's spending all the money till we broke.
Oh, that's so good. That's
And
good
AJ
stuff.
was a sport to go all over this stuff because I still don't know what his politics are. He's not political, so
He's really
but
not.
He would just have fun with me and do whatever. So
I think
appreciate that
a
about him.
lot of people ask that question too.
Yeah.
I say a lot of people. I've had listeners approach me and they're like, "I can't really tell where AJ's at on the political side." And I'm
just-
like, "He's kind of neutral. He's a common sense guy."
He's too nice to be political, to be honest with you. He's too nice to pick a side. AJ's just a genuine man. He loves people as individuals. I'm sure, being a black man on my show, he probably catches hell
Right.
for the stuff I say, which is not fair to him. But I try not to put him in that box. If I got to do something that's legit or hardcore, I just do it.
Right.
I just do it. I just moved it out of your shot, didn't I?
You're
I
good.
just,
You just chill, man.
His
We
face
need
is
you
covered, that's
comfortable.
all.
I just do what I got to do, and AJ's cool. AJ's just a total professional. He doesn't care. He's there to do his job. He didn't have to agree with me, and I don't ask him to.
Yeah.
He's my brother, and I'd break a beer bottle and fight for him in an alley, but he didn't have to agree with me.
You and AJ have had a lot longer relationship than him and I have, but I kind of feel the same way to an extent, and we've had conversations about the issues of the day. It's rare, because we're usually just talking about personal life.
Yep.
But it's never been anything where it was just kind of like we were just shooting the breeze. And it's funny because that's the way everybody used to be,
Yeah.
It didn't used to be hyper-partisan, hyper-political, and everybody's on their side. We all used to kind of generally just be in this big circle of the middle, and we all kind of agreed on everything. Not everything,
Or,
but
you look at your buddy and you're like, you're a dumbass. What are we going to eat
right,
now?
and they wouldn't get
it
offended
wasn't-
by it.
They didn't have to be the devil because you didn't agree, and the world's just a different place now.
I've got one friend. He's a full-blown Bernie Sanders socialist,
Mm-hmm.
and him and I can be like that with each other, and he doesn't take offense to it. But he's also one of these guys that'll get on and get these big social media fights with people.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, he doesn't take offense to it.
Social media makes it worse because, I just grew up in a time, again, an old man story, where you just get your ass beat. I mean,
Yeah.
the way you dealt with people, you didn't snark at them on the media. You'd punch them in the face, or
That's
you
it.
have to deal with because the people you were talking to were people you actually knew. And nowadays with anonymity, I call them keyboard cowards.
Mm-hmm.
You got these punk asses that'll create a pseudonym or Twitter handle or whatever they call it now, and just they live to start fights with people that they could never finish.
I'm going to be honest.
It's not cool.
It was, when I was out of radio, I might have been that guy. I might have been that guy because I was,
Well, you weren't a punk ass. You were a bitch ass.
That's true.
Okay.
I was building. It was the early days of Over the Line. I was working on building it, and so whatever I could do to get attention, I would go after it. And if it was arguing with people on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I was doing it. Plus, I generally enjoyed being a troll. I would troll politicians or whatever. Now I don't do that. Now I'm like you say, I got a radio show. I got no business having to worry about that.
Don't cheapen your product by being another bitch on media. There's too many. We got people in our business that do that. They spend all day. I'm like, when do you do your radio show?
Right.
You spend all day online. I mean, really, and you got 4 people that. I mean, just do your show and go home.
I try my best to read, comments and everything else on social media, but I don't respond, and I don't,
it's childish.
I don't do it at all, and not even the argumentative ones, but just I don't want to play favorites and be like, only comment on this person or that. Yes, I leave it alone. I appreciate all of it, the people that are being nice, but I post what I want to post, and then I leave it, and we move on. Since we're talking about parody songs, I want to share my own. And you may have heard this. I hope you haven't.
Do it.
The Larry Sinclair interview with Tucker Carlson. Remember that?
No.
You don't. The dude that blew Obama.
Oh yeah.
You know that story. That was
I
just
know
recently.
the story, but I didn't see the interview.
Okay, so Larry Sinclair is just this guy that had relations with Obama, right? And Tucker interviewed him. By the way, we're actually considering getting him out here and interviewing him here, but that's another story for another day.
True.
We decided to, when that interview dropped, we're like, we got to make a parody song about Obama and Larry Sinclair. Now, this is obviously Obama's younger. I think he's an Illinois state senator at the time, but he's out there kind of, mixing it up on the, gay bar scene and stuff like that. So he links up with Larry Sinclair, and we wrote this song called Obama's Pants to the tune of Safety Dance.
Let's hear it.
I think you're going to love this.
And 3, 2, 1.
I took a trip to Chicago. I got to see Barack's behind. Cause while I was there, I had me an affair and we both did some lines. Sissy, I do coke when I want to. The driver had a guy in mind. And I hope that he's built from out of this world, from the front and from behind. And I'm in Obama's pants. I can screw who
How did I
want
miss
to.
this? Did you
Barack
play it
is
on the
young
air?
and so am I. And he looks real neat on the edge of his seat. In the limo I can rub his thigh.
Let me be clear.
We smoke crack if we want to. We've got pipes and bowls and lines. As long as there's some booty and Barack is fruity, everything will work out fine. I'll say Obama's pants, smoking crack out of his bowl. Obama's pants, we're doing it from pole to pole. Obama's pants, I'm the man with wandering hands. Obama's pants, better than the safety dance. In Obama's pants, is it safe to dance?
Is that not good?
Let me be clear.
Oh, let me talk to Larry Sinclair.
That was not necessary. Let me be clear.
Gotta give credit to Tony and Amy both. They put those lyrics together. We sent it to Bird. Bird sang it, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. And it was just in time. Here's the problem. It was the week before 9/11 that Tucker did that interview with Larry Sinclair. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. It's fascinating. And Larry Sinclair's like kind of just this homely guy that's got a long rap sheet. He's missing a couple teeth. Got an arm brace on.
Which makes it convenient for Obama, actually.
Right. It's like, how'd you get that arm injury right there? So Tucker brings him on. Tucker doesn't just like have a video call with him. He brings him to his studio, And so they have that, and then over the weekend we put that parody together, and then we're going to play it on Monday, but Monday ended up being 9/11, and we're like, let's wait till Tuesday. Yeah. So we played it on Tuesday, and it was a hit. We've only done 2 parody songs so far with the line. The other one was about John Fetterman. We did one.
I remember that one.
To Pearl Jam's Better Man.
Better Man, yeah.
You want it? Tony, I think you've got that one on standby.
Yeah,
Let's.
That's not bad.
John Bird just sounds so good when he does this, though. He's just phenomenal
good,
at it.
The first time I ever heard him do a parody was he went after Bob Riley, my former boss, for the tax hike.
Really?
And they did a cover on the show he was working on at the time called SpongeBob Tax Pants. And it was SpongeBob everything. He nailed it. I mean,
who was he working for?
Show a couple of years ago.
Mm.
I can't even remember. I just remember the parody because he sent it to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I still
Tony,
have it on CD.
Play a couple, just a few seconds.
All right, here you go.
It's just you got to watch the video to it as well.
You made a video?
Oh yeah, John Bird put a video.
You guys put too much work in your show.
No, we do.
All right, here we
Good night, everybody. I'm running to serve Pennsylvania.
Waiting,
Oh, I love it.
watching him talk, it makes no sense. It's got to stop. Tell him, quit the race. It's not his fault. It's over. He opens his mouth.
He's so
and
awkward.
Loses voters. Tries to rev, but no gas in his motor.
Gotta get to the hook.
He is for fracking, but wait, he's not. That's John Fetterman. Still in mommy's basement, smoking pot. That's John Fetterman.
Bird.
That's
awesome.
John Fetterman.
So, moving towards the end of the
That's
song,
John Fetterman.
and give us that last part, those last few lyrics, which are the best part of it.
If it grows anymore,
Wait, back up a little more.
it will
There you go.
hell told this guy to run.
Okay, a little bit more, a little bit more. All right, here we go.
Bargain that if you
This
work
is it.
full time, you should be able to live in dignity as well. True.
He's chasing black people with shotguns. That's John Fetterman.
Good.
Who in the hell told this guy to run? That's John Fetterman. Does that lump on his neck breathe on its own? That's John Fetterman. If it grows anymore, it will be
It's
his
just-
clone. That's too
We
John
try to
Fetterman.
be inappropriate as possible without getting in trouble, but you know, I thought we were always pushing the line, but then I had Dixon on last week. And
Oh, yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
you heard the story.
Yeah.
He talked about like his former co-host killed her husband, and then he made a parody.
You know
song.
what? I was watching that interview with him. I covered that story as a TV reporter.
Did you
I
really?
went in the house in the
Wow.
crime scene with the cops and looked at the blood spatter. Yeah, that's a real story. That when he was telling it, I was like, "Oh crap! I didn't know he knew them." I covered that story. I was out there live on the scene in Alabaster every day with a live truck.
I had a listener because we replayed that clip on the radio show, and we had a listener text us, and they said, "Yeah, my the body washed up on my uncle's property. We were the one that
Smooth Lake.
found him." Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, there was a bunch of Bob jokes, but yeah, he floated.
I was like, Richard Dixon, yeah.
It happened.
This is out of control. But it's that kind of stuff that I think kind of made me the way I am in the sense of radio. You mentioned it the other day. You said you watched the Dixon interview, and you were like, I like how you interview people. You just get in there and you just talk to people. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm serious about that too. A lot of interviewers have a point to make, and they're just trying to get their guests to agree with them.
Yeah.
Especially in our business. And I mean, I hate to just bash, but Sean Hannity's the worst at it. I
he's bad.
I cannot watch his TV show because he'll introduce a guest. I see it every now and then. I've been tuned into the war. The other night he had a guy on, and he must have asked that guy a 5-minute question. And the poor bastard was in the little squeeze back with his TV
Oh, it's awful.
shot, and he just going,
So awful. He had Vivek Ramaswamy on the other day, and he was just he wouldn't let the guy answer. He had decided
he's an agenda guy. He's got his pom poms out for the party, and that's okay. I mean, I guess, but There's a lot more. I mean, I don't know.
Palming for the party is what's got us in the
That's
situation
why we're in
in.
trouble now. Yeah.
I don't know. I hate Republicans. I hate Democrats. I hate them all.
Yeah.
Just wish we could all kind of just.
It's one
meet
party.
in the middle.
They're all the same.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I'm not going to keep you too long. I appreciate you coming by here. I'm sure we're not going to disappoint the people. They were so excited to see this.
Good.
And I feel like even though we spent 20 minutes on medical advice, it helped me. So if it didn't help anybody else, I feel much better.
We should have a couch in here and just do a psychology session.
I'm honestly, though, like that advice you gave me about telling yourself if it was something that was going to kill you, you'd already be dead.
Yep.
I have given myself that speech
It's
multiple times since you told me
fine.
that. So
You're fine.
I don't know.
You're fine, dude.
We'll see. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna call you when I have a panic attack.
Call me. I swear, call me.
You're gonna
I
talk
probably
me
won't
out
answer,
of it.
but you're welcome to call.
Can I at least
I'll
text you?
Andrew. Just text me, man.
He's fine. I don't have to answer that. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, we're out of here. Thank you again, Leland, for hanging out. We'll have to do this again soon. Let's not just make this a one-off.
You're close by. Let me know.
And we'll start drinking earlier so we can really get sloshed. You know, what's funny is when I mentioned that we may be drinking bourbon, my mom texted me and she was like, well, if this is something your mother shouldn't see, please let me know before you post it. And I was like, Mom, what do you think we're going to do? Like, I'm not in the business of getting sloshed anymore.
We're not done yet, son. Wait a minute.
She's like, I'm just wondering. I remember back in the CCFM Captain Charisma days.
Yeah, I found out about Captain Charisma when I was in Kansas City.
Yeah.
So last summer we did the big epic out west trip.
Right.
Landed in Kansas City, and up pops this young lady sitting across from us while I'm talking. She just staring at us, and I'm thinking, what the hell?
Right.
And we're in this farmer's market outside in Kansas City. She introduced herself as your sister. I went, she's got to come on the radio. She was charming and so sweet, and she told us about Captain Charisma.
Yep.
It's amazing that I haven't let you live that down.
Well, what the problem was is I didn't know I knew you were on the road trip. I didn't know where you were going.
I didn't know where I was going. We were making it up.
That's true.
Yeah.
So when you started your show and you said, hey, we're in Kansas City, I texted my sister, and I'm like, how far are you from this market? And she's like, oh, that's 15 minutes from my office.
It was
I said,
awesome.
you should swing by there and just say hi.
Yep.
I didn't know she was going to go on the radio and railroad me.
It was outstanding.
And I was like, okay.
I was digging stories out of her.
Here we
it was
go.
Good stuff. She was good. She had your personality, though. She's got a lot of personality.
She's good. She's the problem with her, and I don't care. I'll be honest about this. She is a fantastic person. How can you not be, being raised by my mom and dad?
Sure.
She went to college. I think this is where it went downhill. She got a little more on the liberal side.
Did she now?
But I'm watching her move back towards the middle. And I don't mean that in a way of you got to be like me and you're going to love Trump and blah, blah, blah. But life is happening. You paying taxes or whatever it may be. And it slowly moves you back towards the middle. Just towards, not politically anything, just common sense.
Yep.
View it through a bipartisan lens, and so I'm excited. I think I'm getting my sister back after University of Missouri tried to steal her.
Sad. Tell her I said hey.
I will. I'll bring her back. I'm going to have her on this show one day. I think it'd be phenomenal. So anyway, we're out of here. Thank y'all for hanging out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and tell Leland a bunch of nice things and how much you love him. And until next time, see you, cuz.